It's another busy Tuesday afternoon at the sports medicine clinic, the kind where the air hums with energy. But for Alex Morrison, today feels different. A torn hamstring from an impulsive soccer move brings her back to the office of Dr. Ryan Torres, the man she's secretly admired for 2 years. What started as a routine checkup now carries an undeniable charge, one she's been trying to ignore. But in that small, sterile room, it's impossible to deny the tension building between them. What happens when professional boundaries start to blur? Well, stay tuned. This is just the beginning. The energy in the room shifts the moment Dr. Ryan Torres enters. Alex can feel it in the air, something she's been avoiding for so long. She tries to focus on the pain in her hamstring, the injury that's brought her here in the first place. But it's impossible to ignore the way her pulse quickens at the mere sight of him, the man she's admired from afar for 2 years. Every time she looks into his eyes, she feels that magnetic pull, a tension that's hard to put into words, harder still to ignore. As she lies face down on the examination table, Alex can feel the anticipation building inside her body responding to his proximity. The clinical space between them, meant to be professional, feels almost electric. He's just doing his job, his touch clinical, calculated, but for Alex, it's impossible to see it that way. Every brush of his hand against her skin, every shift of his fingers against her muscle, feels too intimate. Her breath catches, her heart races, and she knows she's in trouble. Dr. Torres doesn't seem to notice, or perhaps he does, but chooses not to acknowledge it. His focus is entirely on her injury, his hands moving expertly, but Alex can't help but notice the way his fingers linger just a fraction longer than necessary. She tries to push the thought out of her head, reminding herself that this is nothing more than a routine examination. And yet, in the silence that fills the space between them, something unspoken pulses in the air. It's a connection, undeniable and intense, and neither of them can pretend it's not there. Her mind races. She tries to tell herself it's nothing, just a fleeting moment, just a physical reaction to the proximity. But deep down, Alex knows better. This isn't just a reaction to the touch. This is something more, something deeper. She's been attracted to him since their very first meeting, and for the past 2 years, she's fought to keep those feelings at bay. But now, in this room, with him so close, it feels like all that restraint is slipping through her fingers. As Dr. Torres continues his examination, his hands moving with a practiced precision, Alex's thoughts wander. She thinks about the countless times she's tried to suppress this attraction, the fantasies she's had in the privacy of her own thoughts. She wonders if he feels the same way. Does he? Can he? And if he does, what does that mean? The touch continues, his hands firm but gentle, as he moves toward the back of her thigh, where the tear is most pronounced. His touch becomes even more intimate now, and Alex can't hold back a gasp. He doesn't acknowledge it, but his eyes flicker with something Alex can't quite place but recognizes immediately. Is it guilt, desire, a mixture of both? It's hard to say, but for Alex, it feels like the entire world has narrowed down to just this moment, just this room. Does it hurt? He asks, his voice gentle, yet filled with an undercurrent of something that makes Alex's heart race even faster. She nods, her throat tight. Yes, she whispers, her voice betraying her. The professional boundary they've kept for so long starts to crack. The air thickens, charged with everything they've been avoiding, and for the first time, Alex wonders, what if he feels it too? And then, in an almost imperceptible shift, the conversation turns. Dr. Torres's voice softens, his eyes studying her with an intensity she hasn't seen before. Alex, he says, his voice slightly hesitant, his hands pausing for just a moment on her skin. This isn't just a medical examination anymore, is it? Alex freezes. She wasn't prepared for this. She's been holding on to this secret for so long, trying to protect herself from the risk of rejection, from the consequences of breaking professional boundaries. But now, in this charged moment, she can't deny it any longer. Her feelings, her desire, have been on the surface for far too long. And now, Dr. Torres is calling her out on it. No, she admits, her voice barely above a whisper. It stopped being just medical a while ago. Her words hang in the air, raw and honest. And with that confession, everything shifts. The walls between them, the professional barriers that have kept them apart for so long, come crashing down. Doctor. Torres's face shifts, his expression torn between relief and regret, as though he's been waiting for her to say those words, but dreading the consequences all the same. I've known, he admits, his voice low. I've felt it too, Alex. For a long time. The words hit Alex like a wave, both comforting and terrifying at the same time. She's not alone in this. He feels it too. But there's still so much at stake. They both know the risks, the ethics, the professional boundaries, the repercussions of crossing that line. Neither of them can ignore the fact that they've entered a space where their personal desires conflict with their responsibilities. But in this moment, with the weight of their shared secret hanging between them, the risk seems worth it. For a moment, neither of them speaks. They just stand there, locked in a silent understanding, both of them unsure of what comes next. It's not just about attraction anymore. It's about the possibility of something real, something deeper, something that could change everything between them. Dr. Torres breaks the silence first, his voice heavy with the weight of their unspoken connection. We can't do this, he says quietly, though there's a hint of longing in his tone. Not yet. Not while you're my patient. Alex feels her heart sink, but she knows he's right. She's been caught in the tension of her own desires for so long, but now, with the reality of what they're about to face, it's clear that they can't just jump into this. Not without consequences. Not without thinking through everything that could go wrong. I know, Alex replies, her voice steady, though her mind is reeling. I'm not asking for that. I couldn't pretend anymore. The air between them shifts once again, as if they both realize that they've crossed a threshold. They can't go back to the way things were. Not now. Not when they both know what they're feeling. But there's a road ahead of them, a difficult one, and they both know they have to take it slowly, carefully, with patience and respect. They both agree to wait, to let the dust settle, to give themselves time to process everything. 6 months, they decide. 6 months before they can see if this connection, this undeniable pull, is something they can explore. It's a promise they make to themselves and to each other. No rushing, no jumping into the unknown without fully understanding the consequences. But even as they make this promise, the tension doesn't fade. It lingers, humming just beneath the surface, a constant reminder of what they both want, but can't yet have. The 6 months stretch out before them, filled with moments of longing, of stolen glances, of quiet touches that feel too intimate for friendship, but too innocent for anything more. As time passes, Alex can't help but wonder, what will happen when those 6 months are up? What will they do when the boundaries are gone, when they can finally admit what they've both been holding back for so long? Will they be able to navigate the complexities of their feelings, their professional roles, and the life they've built around this unspoken attraction? Or will the tension prove to be too much to handle? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The moment they allow themselves to explore this connection, it will change everything. Time slows down in the stillness of that room. The walls, the sterile white of the examination space, seem to close in around Alex as she stands on the precipice of a confession. Everything she's held back, everything she's been so careful to keep buried, rises to the surface. For 2 years, she's kept her feelings locked away, pretending they didn't exist. But in this moment, with Dr. Ryan Torres standing right in front of her, it's no longer possible to ignore what's been quietly simmering beneath the surface. She's been here before, of course. This routine appointment, this familiar setting, her visits have always been professional. At least, that's what she's told herself. She's come in for checkups, for advice, for the small injuries life throws at her. But deep down, something's always been different about these visits. And it's him, Dr. Torres, his kindness, his professionalism, his quiet strength, and his eyes. Those warm brown eyes that somehow always seem to see right through her. Today, though, it's different. The usual banter, the easy exchange of pleasantries, is replaced by an electric tension that neither of them can ignore. As they stand together, The silence between them thickens. His touch, though clinical and professional, has felt strangely intimate today. Every brush of his hands, every movement has set Alex's heart racing. It's a slow-burning realization that everything they've kept professional has been teetering on the edge of something else. Something more, something deeper. Alex, I need you to be honest with me, doctor. Torres's voice is soft, but there's an edge to it, a hesitation that Alex recognizes. He's asking the question they've both been avoiding. The question they've known would come, eventually. The question that will change everything. Alex swallows hard, the weight of her confession pressing down on her chest. She's spent so long hiding it, pushing it down, keeping her feelings in check, all for the sake of professionalism. And yet, in this room, with him standing so close, it's impossible to pretend any longer. The words come out before she can stop them. I've been attracted to you since the first time we met, she admits, her voice a whisper. For 2 years I've kept it to myself, but today I can't anymore. The confession hangs in the air between them, raw and vulnerable. There's no turning back now. Alex braces herself for his reaction, unsure of what will come next. Will he reject her? Will he be disgusted by her honesty? Or perhaps will he understand? There's a long pause. Dr. Torres is still, his expression unreadable. Alex's heart races, her palms sweat. She's never been this vulnerable in front of him before. Not like this. Finally, Doctor. Torres speaks, his voice a mixture of relief and uncertainty. I felt the same way, Alex, he says softly. For a long time. Alex's heart skips a beat. The air around them seems to shift, as if a weight has been lifted, and yet a new burden remains. Their feelings for each other have always been there, unspoken. But now they've crossed a line, a boundary that can't be undone. The professional walls they've both carefully maintained have cracked, and with it comes the undeniable awareness of the risks, the consequences, the reality of what they're about to face. But despite the undeniable pull between them, there's something else. A deep understanding of the ethical lines they've crossed. They are, after all, doctor and patient. They both know the implications of crossing that line. The ethical code that governs Dr. Torres's profession, the responsibility he has to his patients, to his practice, it all weighs heavily on him now. The very foundation of their relationship has been built on trust, professionalism, and respect. And that, Alex knows, cannot be thrown away lightly. I can't act on this, Dr. Torres says, almost to himself. Not while you're my patient. It's against the rules. His words hang in the air, and Alex's heart sinks. She knew this would come. She knew this moment would be complicated. But hearing it, seeing the hesitation in his eyes, the conflict between what they both want and what they know is right, feels like a punch to the gut. I understand, Alex whispers. Her voice trembles slightly, but she's trying to hold it together. She's never wanted to jeopardize his career, never wanted to put him in this position, but at the same time, the ache in her chest doesn't go away. If anything, it intensifies. There's silence again. The weight of what they've said, what they're acknowledging, hangs between them like a fragile thread, ready to snap. They've crossed a threshold now, and there's no going back to the way things were. I can't ignore this, Alex says, her voice quiet but firm. I can't just pretend that these feelings don't exist. It's been too long and I can't keep doing this. Hiding it. Her heart beats louder in her chest, a thudding reminder of the vulnerability she's just exposed. But I don't want to jeopardize everything either. I want to be with you, Ryan. But I know we can't. Not like this. Doctor. Torres's expression softens, and Alex can see the conflict still etched in his face. I don't want to lose you, Alex, he says, his voice low and sincere. But I have responsibilities. I can't let those responsibilities slip. You deserve more than just what we could have right now. And I can't offer that to you until we figure this out. The unspoken understanding between them is clear. They can't just dive in, not without considering everything. The consequences, the ramifications. the professional and personal lives they've built separately. Their connection is undeniable, but that doesn't mean it's easy or without its complications. They sit together, silently, for what feels like an eternity. Both of them processing everything that's been said, everything that's changed in this single, raw moment of truth. And then, Dr. Torres finally speaks again, his voice steady but full of resolve. I think we need to take a step back, he says slowly, choosing his words carefully. We can't move forward like this, but I don't want to give up on whatever this is between us. So, here's what we'll do. We'll take some time. 6 months, no contact, no professional relationship. We'll let things cool down, let the dust settle. Then, when we're both sure, when the ethical lines are no longer a barrier, we'll see where this takes us. Alex listens, her heart heavy but relieved. It's not a perfect solution, but it's the best they can do. And somehow, it feels like the right one. They'll both have time to reflect, to make sure they're making the right decision, not just for themselves, but for their futures, for what this could mean. I agree, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. 6 months? No contact, and after that, we'll see. It's a promise, one that neither of them makes lightly, but the road ahead isn't easy. 6 months of distance, 6 months of longing, of waiting, before they can finally give in to the pull between them. They know the risks, the challenges, but they also know that love, real love, requires patience. It requires understanding, and, most of all, it requires doing what's right, even when it's hard. As Alex walks away from the clinic that day, the weight of the decision they've made lingers in her chest. She's not sure what the future holds, or if they'll ever be able to cross that line without consequences. But one thing is certain. The love they've just acknowledged is real, and that, in itself, is worth waiting for. The days stretch out before Alex like an eternity. The 6 months that have been promised to her and Dr. Ryan Torres feel like both an impossible challenge and an unexpected gift. Time feels like it's slipping through her fingers, a quiet dance of patience and longing. Each day, she wakes up knowing there's a part of her heart that's waiting for something she can't yet have. But for the first time, Alex knows that waiting is the right choice. She spent so long hiding her feelings for Ryan, so long pretending that they didn't exist. But now that everything is on the table, now that she's spoken her truth and he's spoken his, she's in a space where time seems to slow and stretch, leaving her both aching for what could be and scared of what it might mean. 6 months of distance. 6 months without being able to reach out, to hold him, to lean into the pull between them. And yet, the distance is supposed to make it clearer. They both agreed. No contact, no professional relationship. But even though the rules are clear, the reality is far more complicated. 6 months feels like an agonizing separation. It's hard to ignore the weight of the absence, hard not to reach out when every part of her wants to. Instead, Alex is left navigating a new kind of relationship, a friendship that hasn't really existed before. Not like this. The first few weeks were easy enough, filled with distractions from her usual routines. Work, friends, soccer. She stayed busy, pushing away the thoughts that crept into her mind. But then came the quiet moments. The moments when her mind wandered back to him, Ryan. The way he'd looked at her during their confession, the way his touch had ignited something deep inside of her, the way everything between them had shifted with just a few simple words. But she doesn't reach out. She doesn't call him, she doesn't text, she sticks to the rules. She tells herself it's the right thing to do, and maybe it is. She's doing this for both of them, for their futures, for the chance at something real. Something grounded in trust, in friendship. But that doesn't make it any easier. The ache remains. The first coffee date with him after they agreed to wait is awkward, at first. It's a strange mix of familiarity and distance. The space between them heavy with the knowledge that they're trying to ignore what's right in front of them. They've known each other for years, but today, the air feels charged with something else. There are no touches, no playful banter, no moments of lingering glances, just words. But even those feel loaded, like everything they say is fraught with unspoken meaning. As the days go by, they settle into a new rhythm. They text, briefly. Conversations are polite, almost clinical at times. Alex tells herself it's fine. This is what they agreed to. No pressure. No expectations. But in the moments when she's alone, the longing creeps in, and she finds herself staring at her phone, wishing he would text first, wishing he would break the silence. There are nights when she can't help but replay their last conversation. The confession, the moment everything changed, and then she wonders, was it worth it? Was it worth 6 months of longing, of pretending nothing is happening, when all she really wants is to take his hand and feel the warmth of his touch again? But no, she reminds herself, 6 months is necessary. It's about doing things right, about not rushing into something that could slip away just as easily as it came. And then there are those quiet nights when she's curled up on her couch, scrolling through social media, only to find pictures of Ryan, his smiling face, his laugh, the little things that remind her of how much she misses him, how much she wants to be closer. But every picture, every reminder, is a bittersweet moment, and she quickly closes the app, focusing instead on something else. Anything else. She knows it's the right thing to do. She's convinced herself of that. This waiting period isn't about pushing each other away. It's about building something more solid, a foundation. A true connection. Not just the chemistry they've always shared, but the friendship they can create, the trust they can develop. Yet the tension remains, like an invisible thread connecting them. Every time she sees him in person, they're both careful, holding back the spark that's clearly still there. They both know it's not the right time. They both know they have to respect the boundaries they've set, even if it feels like they're fighting an uphill battle. But it's in these moments of restraint that Alex begins to see the truth of what they have. It's not just attraction. It's more than chemistry. It's about connection. It's about the unspoken understanding that runs deeper than either of them initially thought. 6 months may feel like an eternity, but in many ways, it's the perfect amount of time. It's forcing Alex to confront what's real, what's important, and what she truly wants. She finds herself reflecting more on her own needs, on what she's looking for in a relationship, in love, and in life. And Ryan, despite the distance, is never far from her thoughts. It's in the quiet moments of longing that Alex realizes something vital. Their connection has never just been about physical attraction or fleeting moments of intensity. It's about something more, something that can't be rushed. Their friendship, despite the underlying tension, begins to bloom in its own way. They have conversations that go deeper than anything they've ever shared before. They talk about their pasts, their dreams, their fears. They talk about everything and nothing at the same time. It's easy to forget they're supposed to be waiting for something. It's easy to slip into the comfort of being around someone who understands you, someone who truly sees you. But with every laugh they share, with every conversation that stretches late into the night, Alex feels that pull again. And she wonders, does he feel it too? Does he ache for her the way she aches for him? Does he feel the frustration of not being able to reach out, to bridge the distance that still lies between them? Time drags on, and as the 6-month mark draws closer, Alex can't help but feel a mix of excitement and fear. The waiting period is almost over, but what comes after? Will it be everything they've hoped for? Will the reality of being together live up to the anticipation? Or will the weight of their past complicate things more than either of them could have imagined? The countdown is on. The last month feels like a test of endurance, of patience. Each passing day brings them closer to the moment when they can finally let go of the waiting and see what's been building between them. And with each day, the anticipation grows, the longing intensifies, and Alex realizes, maybe waiting wasn't the hardest part after all. Maybe the hardest part is not knowing exactly what will come next. Will it be love? Will it be a deeper connection? Or will it be something else entirely? As the days go by, she finds herself standing at the crossroads of desire and uncertainty, just waiting for the moment when they can finally take that next step. 6 months will be up soon. But what happens after that? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure. Whatever comes next, it will be worth the wait. In the quiet of her room, as she looks back at everything she's endured, Alex smiles to herself. No matter how long it took, no matter the distance or the struggle, one thing is clear. What she and Ryan have is real. And that, in itself, is worth every second. The 6 months felt like a slow burn, a slow march towards something that Alex wasn't sure she was ready for. The quiet waiting, the deliberate distancing, it was all part of the plan, the promise they'd made to each other. But now, standing in front of Dr. Ryan Torres, a few seconds before the moment she's been dreading and wanting is about to unfold, Alex can't help but feel a flood of emotions. It's like the calm before the storm, or maybe more accurately, the calm before the calm. Because, as Alex steps into this room, into this conversation, she feels a sort of peaceful certainty settle inside her. It's as if everything that's been building between them for the last 2 years is finally going to reach its true resolution. There's no more avoiding it, no more pretending. She can't ignore the pull any longer. And neither can he. Standing across from Ryan, Alex feels every part of her heart thumping in her chest. She feels the weight of the confession she's about to make. The confession she's held onto for so long, tucked deep inside her, buried under layers of professionalism, ethics, and fear. But now there's no way around it. She has to speak it. She has to let him know the truth. "Ryan," Alex says, her voice steady but betraying the nerves she can't quite hide. The words have been there for months, years even, but they're finally coming out, hanging in the air between them. There's no more dancing around it. "I've had feelings for you for a long time," she admits, eyes locked onto his. Her heart is racing, but she refuses to look away. Because this is the truth, the one thing she's been terrified of admitting. It feels like she's standing on the edge of a cliff, and she's not sure what's waiting for her on the other side. But this is her moment to finally be honest, to be vulnerable, to live the life she's been hiding from for so long. Ryan's eyes soften, the intensity between them growing with each passing second. He's not shocked. No, he's known. He's felt it too, the same electric chemistry that's always hung in the air between them. The same spark that started from their very first meeting and never really went away. "I know," Ryan says, his voice quiet but sure. There's no judgment in his eyes, no confusion. He's been fighting the same battle, holding the same truth deep inside. "I've felt it too." And just like that, the floodgates open. The words they've both been holding back for so long are finally out. Neither of them had the courage to cross that line before. But now, here they are, standing on the precipice of something real, something undeniable. For a brief moment, they both stand there in silence, letting the weight of the confession settle between them. The world seems to stop, and in that moment Alex realizes something. This isn't about the desire. It's not just about the attraction. It's about something deeper, something more significant. It's about being seen, being understood. Being loved, not in spite of who they are, but because of it. The pause between them feels both heavy and light at the same time. The air is thick with anticipation, and yet there's a strange calmness in the way they look at each other. There's no rush, no urgency, just an unspoken understanding that this is the moment that will change everything. And then, as if guided by some invisible force, Ryan takes a step closer. His hand reaches out slowly, like he's testing the waters, not wanting to force anything, just allowing it to happen naturally. Alex feels a shiver run down her spine as his fingers brush gently against her arm, sending a surge of warmth through her. It's like electricity, a spark that ignites everything they've been holding back. Their eyes lock, and for a moment it feels like the world is holding its breath. They don't need to say anything more. Everything has already been said. The confession, the acknowledgement, it's all there. Now it's time for the truth to manifest. Without another word, Ryan leans in, slowly, deliberately, as if giving Alex the space to pull away, to stop him if she wanted to. But she doesn't. She doesn't move, she can't. Because this is the moment she's been waiting for. The moment when everything changes. Their lips meet, gently at first. A tender connection that is everything Alex has been longing for. It's soft, tentative, as if they're both testing the waters. But even in its delicacy, it's electric. The kiss is everything they've been denying for so long. It's full of all the longing, all the want, and all the emotion that's been building up between them for months. It's more than just a kiss. It's a declaration, a promise, a beginning. As the kiss deepens, Alex feels like she's floating, like all the tension, the waiting, the doubts. They're all melting away. There's only Ryan, and there's only this moment. There's no more fear, no more uncertainty. There's only the raw truth of what they feel for each other. Ryan pulls back slowly, his forehead resting against hers as they both catch their breath, a smile playing on his lips. There's a softness in his eyes, a tenderness that wasn't there before, and for the first time, Alex feels the full weight of what this moment means. "I've wanted this for so long," Ryan whispers, his voice husky, filled with emotion. Alex smiles, her heart still racing, but this time, it's not from fear. It's from a sense of clarity, of understanding. "Me too," she whispers back, her voice just as raw. The kiss wasn't just a physical connection. It wasn't just about crossing a boundary they both had been too scared to cross. It was about everything they had built together, everything they had learned about themselves in the process. It was about choosing each other, not just for the passion, but for the truth, the vulnerability, the trust. And as they stand there, in the aftermath of the kiss, Alex knows something else. This isn't the end. This isn't the final chapter. This is just the beginning of something deeper, something real. This is the start of a new kind of relationship, one built on honesty, respect, and a love that neither of them expected, but both of them needed. There's a long road ahead, but for the first time in a long while, Alex feels certain about the path she's chosen. The path that leads to Ryan. The path that leads to love. When you find something real, something deep, you think you know what's coming next. You imagine that the hard part, the waiting, the hesitation, the fear, is behind you. But the truth is, the journey isn't just about the moments that brought you together. It's about the moments that come after. The future, the unknown. And for Alex and Ryan, it wasn't enough to just have the spark, the chemistry. They needed to navigate the complexities that came with their love. Because love, in all its beauty and simplicity, is never just simple. As they stand on the precipice of something beautiful and new, they realize that the challenges of love aren't always about external forces. Sometimes, it's about facing the internal struggles, the fears, the insecurities, the doubts, that can arise when you open yourself up to someone fully, vulnerably. It's been months since the kiss. That kiss, the one that changed everything, wasn't just a beginning, it was a shift. Their relationship was no longer just about two people coming together. Now they had to face the reality of what being together meant. They couldn't hide behind the comfort of professional boundaries or the what-ifs of waiting. They had stepped into the unknown, where the lines between love and responsibility, desire and consequence, blurred and collided. And with that came the questions. The what now? The how do we move forward? The fear of losing everything for something they didn't fully understand. Alex found herself asking the same question every day. Is it worth it? Worth the risk? Worth the complications? Worth going all in when everything was still so fragile, still so new? Ryan, on the other hand, had his own battles. As a doctor, his entire life had been built on control, on making choices with responsibility and professionalism. But now, his choices were tied up in something far more complex. Love. Love didn't fit into the neat little boxes he was used to. There were no clear answers, no straightforward plans. Just the quiet knowledge that every step they took would be filled with uncertainty. But despite it all, despite the doubts that loomed over them, they both knew one thing: they weren't going to let go, because love, when it's real, asks for everything. It asks for patience, for vulnerability, for courage to move forward, even when the future seems uncertain. Alex and Ryan were learning that lesson together, and while it wasn't easy, it was beautiful in its own way. There were challenges, yes. Moments when they doubted themselves and their decisions. Ryan struggled with the weight of his role as Alex's former doctor. The ethical boundaries that had once kept them apart now felt like an invisible wall that, no matter how much they wanted to, they couldn't ignore. The whispers of the world around them, the judgment, the scrutiny, the "what will people think," crept in at the edges of their minds. And Alex, too, faced her own fears. The fear of letting go of the safety of their friendship. The fear of what it might cost them. The risk of falling too deeply into something that might not work. The vulnerability of allowing someone to truly see you, not just for the surface level, but for all that you are. Your dreams, your flaws, your insecurities. Love didn't come with guarantees, and that uncertainty was a hard pill to swallow. But despite all the fears, there was something else they both knew. They couldn't deny what they felt. The connection between them wasn't just physical. It wasn't just about desire. It was about something deeper, something rooted in understanding, in shared moments of honesty, in the quiet acceptance of each other's flaws. There was a trust now built over time. A trust that wasn't about perfection. It was about being able to stand next to each other, hand in hand, through all the unknowns. They knew it wasn't going to be easy. Nothing that was worth it ever was. But they also knew that the best things in life, the ones that truly matter, come from the willingness to face challenges together. And as they talked about what the future held, about how they would navigate this new chapter, there was an undeniable sense of hope. Because even when love feels overwhelming, when it feels messy, it also has the power to push you forward, to remind you that, sometimes, the biggest challenges lead to the most beautiful victories. They talked about the small things, the quiet moments they would share. Coffee in the morning, lazy Sundays spent together, just being in each other's presence without the weight of the world hanging over them. It wasn't about grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It was about building something real, brick by brick, knowing that it wouldn't always be easy, but it would always be worth it. And when Ryan took Alex's hand, their fingers intertwined, there was an unspoken promise, not just of love, but of patience, of commitment, of waiting when they needed to, and moving forward when the time was right. But even with all their plans, there was one thing they couldn't ignore: the unknown future that loomed ahead. Would they be able to handle the pressures that came with their relationship? Could they find a way to balance love with the rest of their lives? Ryan's voice broke through Alex's thoughts, his words both a reassurance and a question. "We can do this, right? Whatever comes next." His eyes were steady, filled with sincerity. He wasn't asking for a perfect answer, but just for the reassurance that, no matter the challenges, they would face them together. Alex squeezed his hand gently, her smile soft but certain. "We can. We just have to trust each other, and trust that no matter what, we're going to make it work." As the camera lingers on their hands, clasped together, the weight of their commitment hangs in the air. The future isn't a clear path. It's never guaranteed. But with love as their foundation, Alex and Ryan know one thing for sure. They're ready to take on whatever comes next. Together. And maybe that's what love is all about. Not knowing what lies ahead, but having the courage to move forward anyway. Not having all the answers, but trusting that the journey is worth it. After all, the greatest challenge of love isn't finding the one. It's choosing to navigate the future with them, no matter the obstacles. And in that moment, Alex and Ryan knew they'd chosen each other. And that, in itself, was the beginning of a future they were ready to embrace. As the story of Alex and Ryan draws to a close, it's clear that the journey they've taken is one of transformation. Not just for them, but for anyone who's ever faced the tension between love and the boundaries that life, society, or even ourselves place before us. This isn't just a love story. This is a story about breaking free from the constraints that keep us from experiencing what it means to live fully, authentically, and without apology. Alex and Ryan started their journey with clear lines, boundaries drawn not just by professional norms but by their own fears. The weight of judgment, the fear of rejection, the complexities of blending desire with responsibility. It was all there, lurking in the shadows. But with each passing moment, as they navigated those challenges, they realized something powerful. Sometimes the greatest love stories are the ones that aren't bound by the expectations we've been taught to follow. They're the ones where two people choose to throw away the script and write their own, no matter how unconventional it may seem. It wasn't just about breaking the professional boundaries of a doctor-patient relationship. It was about breaking free from all the invisible rules that hold us back in life. It was about choosing each other, over and over again, even when the world told them they should hesitate. In a world that loves to set limitations on what's acceptable, what's proper, and what's right, Alex and Ryan chose to create a space where their love could exist without apology. A space where their hearts, not societal expectations, dictated the course of their relationship. But let's be real for a moment. Love is hard. Love is messy. It's not always this easy fairy tale-like thing where everything just falls into place. No, it takes courage. It takes vulnerability. It takes the willingness to face the truth about who you are, about your desires, your fears, and your willingness to grow, not just with each other, but as individuals. And let's not forget the greatest challenge of all, embracing love, even when it's not easy. There's something deeply inspiring about Alex and Ryan's story. It's the kind of love that dares to be different, that dares to live outside the lines. They didn't just embrace the spark between them. They built something real. Something grounded in patience, mutual respect, and honesty. They realized that love doesn't always follow a blueprint. It doesn't come with a step-by-step guide on how to get everything right. But if you're brave enough to step into it with an open heart, it will show you the way. And for anyone out there who feels trapped in the expectations placed on them, whether by family, society, or even their own fears, let Alex and Ryan's journey serve as a reminder. You don't have to follow the script that's been written for you. You have the power to choose your own path. You have the power to embrace your truth, even when it feels difficult, even when it feels like the world is telling you to hold back. Sometimes, the greatest act of courage is choosing love, choosing to live authentically, and choosing to trust that you'll find your way. This story is for those who have ever doubted if they deserve to take up space, to love boldly, to be loved in return. For those who feel like their desires might be too messy, too complicated, or too much for the world to accept. Alex and Ryan have shown us that when two people are willing to see each other for who they truly are, without judgment, without hesitation, that's where magic happens. That's where real love lives. Now, Alex and Ryan are no longer bound by the rules that tried to keep them apart. They've built a future together, not just by taking risks, but by understanding that love isn't a straight path. It's a winding road, full of twists, turns, and moments of vulnerability. But it's in those moments of doubt, of hesitation, and of courage that they found each other. And it's in those same moments that they chose to love without boundaries, without hesitation, and without fear. As you stand at the crossroads of your own life, whether in love, in dreams, or in choices, remember this: you are worthy of love that defies the boundaries others have set for you. Whether it's a love that's messy, complicated, or bold, if it's real, it's worth fighting for. It's worth taking the leap, even if you're unsure of what's at the other side. So, if this story has touched you, made you reflect on your own life and relationships, or if it's inspired you to embrace love without limits, don't hold back. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's continue to celebrate the kind of love that isn't afraid to break boundaries, that isn't afraid to be true to itself. Because, just like Alex and Ryan, we all deserve that kind of love. The kind that pushes us to grow, to be vulnerable, to live authentically, and to create the future we want for ourselves. And here's the thing: we don't have to wait for the perfect moment. The time to embrace love, to embrace who we are, and to embrace our truth is now. The only question is, what will you do with that freedom? Will you choose to follow your heart, no matter where it leads? Let Alex and Ryan's journey be a reminder that true love isn't about waiting for everything to be perfect. It's about choosing to step into the unknown, together, and trusting that what comes next will be worth it. Because in the end, love without boundaries isn't just possible, it's the most freeing thing you can experience, so go ahead. Step into your own story. Choose to love without limits, without hesitation, and most importantly, without apology. The world is waiting for you to show up. authentically, unapologetically, and fully yourself. And remember, sometimes the best stories are the ones where the boundaries are meant to be broken.